What's up, everyone? We're going to be going to the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 90% win rate for the third day in a row as well, guys. So 90% win rate for the third day in a row. So we are on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 90% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord group and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $490 just yesterday, and another member who won $462 for the 7th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Club Cheese 1 who said just subscribe, you're doing good work, bro. And also shouts out to Fix Sue who said the Undertaker at its best. Then shouts out to Michael Garcia T9V who said love all these fantastic prop picks. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Sabrina Ionescu, and this one is for 5.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Sabrina, we actually have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now this one's an interesting one because we have actually seen her, over the last 5 also average 5.2, which is slightly below this line. But looking at those 5 games, see on June 20th, faced off against Phoenix, actually had 6 assists in that matchup. June 26th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 4 assists there. After that, on the 28th, faced off against Phoenix, had 7 assists. Then, against ATL, had 3 assists on June 30th. And July 4th, against LA Sparks, had 6 assists in that matchup. So, we have actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5. Now, looking at Sabrina Ionescu, we do know that she does play for New York Liberty. And their matchup is against none other than Seattle Storm. Now, looking at both of these teams, we do see that New York Liberty have been having themselves a very good season. They rank 2nd when it comes to the WNBA with a record of 12 wins and 5 losses. But on top of that, they do rank number 1 in the Eastern Conference. So looking at that win percentage of 70.6%, they are 7-1 at home, 5-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So I do have to say Sabrina Ionescu and Liberty have been on an absolute roll. And looking at their matchup, Seattle Storm, we do know Seattle do rank 5th in the actual, WNBA, but they also rank 3rd in the Western Conference. So they are still a pretty decent team as well, just not, as good definitely as New York Liberty. But looking at Storm, they still do have a record of 11 wins and 7 losses. So still a really decent record. They have a 61.1% win percentage. They are also, when it comes to 6-3 at home, also 5-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So it's definitely been pretty good for Sabrina Ionescu and New York Liberty, and Seattle Storm, I would say, have definitely had themselves a pretty decent start to the season as well. But coming into this matchup defensively, we do know Seattle Storm, when it comes to assists allowed, we do know that they do rank 6th when it comes to assists allowed. So they do actually rank, pretty decent when it comes to, restricting assists, and we definitely still see that being enough to see someone like Sabrina go on the under here. Now, there are definitely multiple reasons why we do like the under. Now, first, Seattle don't, I wouldn't say they don't rank, number 1 in assists allowed, but we do believe 6 is definitely still enough, especially for someone like Sabrina. And a big reason why we say enough for Sabrina is that Sabrina doesn't really have the highest usage rate in the assist department. We have seen her, yes, go on the over at times in the last 5, but you do also have to remember that And 2 of those games, she only made it over by 0.5, and the other game, she only made it over by 1.5 as well. So your assist category, definitely, yes, she has gone on the over, but just slightly above it. Nothing really too convincing enough to us. And on top of that, when we also look at Seattle Storm, they do a fantastic job at restricting assists to actually Sabrina's position. So, Sabrina, her play style is definitely something Seattle Storm will focus on, because as we all know, Seattle Storm, their defensive strategies really do hone in and focus on stars and try to stop them as much as they can, rather than being, more of a focus on all team defense. They like to focus in on stars and restrict them as much as they can. So coming into this game, we are expecting Seattle to really bring all out their marbles to stop Sabrina Ionescu, who I would say is, one of the main players for this team. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. And when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have a favor for the under as well. So Sabrina Ionescu, 5.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting to the next one, we're going to be talking about Gabby Williams. So Gabby Williams, great player, as we all know, and we've actually seen her do a great job throughout the regular season, but this one is for 1.5 3-pointers made, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Gabby Williams, we have seen her go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on June 23rd, faced off against New York Liberty, had 1 3-pointer made there. Then June 25th, faced off against Indiana, actually had 0 in that one. Then on June 28th, faced off against Connecticut, had 2 3-pointers made there. Then June 30th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 0 3-pointers made. And then July 4th, against ATL, actually had 0 3-pointers made as well. So we have seen Gabby Williams actually go on the under quite consistently and go on the under as well quite regularly. Now, looking at this matchup, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but we do also know that Seattle do face off against New York Liberty, which we just touched on. Now, obviously, just to quickly remind you again, Seattle Storm ranked 5th, while actually, New York Liberty ranked 2nd. But looking at where New York Liberty actually do rank defensively, especially when it comes to the 3-point, we do see something pretty interesting here. Now, we do actually see that when it comes to actually 3-point percentages allowed, we do see that, New York Liberty rank when it comes to this 7th. On top of that, 3-point attempts allowed, we see that Liberty do rank 10th. And then 3-point made allowed, we do see Liberty ranking 10th as well. So now, although Liberty do rank pretty low tier when it comes to restricting 3-point ball, what we also do see is that when we look on a per position basis, we do know Gabby Williams does run that forward position, and Liberty actually do a fantastic job at restricting 3-pointers to the forward position. So we are expecting Liberty to really focus in and hone in on stopping forwards, and especially for someone like Gabby Williams, who hasn't even had that high of a usage rate in this 3-point department, is a big reason why we do like the under for this. Her average over the last 5 is 0.6, so we definitely have seen her go on the under quite consistently. And on top of that, what we also have seen is that when it comes to Gabby Williams, we have definitely seen her usage rate in the 3-point department just still remain very low, and her volume just hasn't really been there. So with all these things being taken into consideration, we are definitely liking the under for this situation here. So keep an eye out for Gabby Williams for 1.5 3-pointers made for less. I think is a great pick. Now getting to the next one, we are going to be talking about a different game here, and we're going to be talking about the Las Vegas Aces and Connecticut Sun game, because we are talking about A'ja Wilson, and this one is a fantastic one for 23.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at A'ja Wilson, we have actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at the last 5 games, we do see that on June 23rd, faced off against Indiana Fever, had 24 points there. Then on June 26th, faced off against Connecticut, had 22 points. Then June 27th, faced off against Washington, had 22 points in that matchup. After that, we saw against Phoenix face off and had 26 points on June 30th, and then 29 points against Indiana on July 4th. So we have seen A'ja Wilson go on the under, like I mentioned, in 2 out of the last 5, but her average over the last 5 is also 24.6. So slightly above this line. But coming into this next matchup that we haven't mentioned just yet, Las Vegas Aces do face off against Connecticut Sun. Now it is definitely going to be an exciting exciting game, but looking at both of these teams and where they do rank, we do know that the Aces have had a pretty lackluster season so far. They actually rank 8th in the WNBA with a record of 8 wins and 9 losses. So a 47.1% win percentage. They are 5-4 from home, 3-5 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So, Aces have definitely fallen quite a bit, especially from last season. It hasn't really been the same team that we have been expecting from them. And on top of that, they face off against Connecticut Sun, who are a even worse team, unfortunately, as they actually have a record of 2 wins and 15 losses. So they rank 13th in the WNBA, and they rank last in the Eastern Conference. They have an 11.8% win percentage, and on top of that, they are 1-6 from home, 1-9 from away, and are currently on a 9-game losing streak. So it's definitely been pretty tough for, both of these teams, I do believe. But coming into this next matchup, looking at Connecticut Sun, we do know that Connecticut Sun defensively, and especially when it comes to points, as we are looking at a points line, we do see Connecticut Sun do rank 13th when it comes to points allowed. But there's a couple of reasons why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Connecticut Sun actually do a fantastic job at restricting points to the center position, which is what A'ja Wilson is, and that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this one. Now, on top of that, a lot of the bookies are mentioning, or are expecting, that this game will be a blowout situation. And if this is a blowout situation, what we actually could see is that someone like A'ja Wilson, who I would say is the main player for the Aces, will probably get taken out very early. If you also do see that when we look at this matchup, we have seen that she has actually played against Connecticut Sun recently on June 26, actually had 22 points there, and we definitely saw that due to the fact that I wouldn't say it's a massive blowout situation, but we definitely saw A'ja Wilson get a restriction in her minutes, when it came to that game. So coming into this next one, we are expecting definitely that sort of similar situation coming into this next one, especially against, the worst team in the WNBA. So for that reason, we definitely do like the under. When we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also are favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So A'ja Wilson, 23.5 points for less, I think is a great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player you're going to be talking about is none other than Natasha Cloud. So Natasha Cloud is a great player for none other than New York Liberty, and she has done a fantastic job so far this season. We've actually seen her average 9.9 points, 3.8 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and also 1.5 steals. So we definitely have seen her do a fantastic job throughout the regular season. And what we have seen as well on top of that is looking at Natasha Cloud, we have definitely also seen her, play a big role for this Liberty team because they have been on a roll. Now, looking at Liberty, they do face off, as we all know, against Seattle Storm. Now, this is definitely going to be an exciting matchup, but looking at both of these teams and where they do rank, we do know that New York Liberty do rank 2nd in the WNBA with a record of 12 wins and 5 losses. So they have a 70.6% win percentage. On top of that, we also have seen that they are 7-1 from home, while 5-4 from away, and they are currently on a 1-game win streak. So they have done a fantastic job, and on top of that, they do also rank 1st when it comes to the Eastern Conference. So we definitely have seen them do a fantastic job there. But coming into this matchup, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. And looking at New York Liberty's matchup, Seattle Storm, we have seen that Seattle Storm have done a somewhat decent job, during the regular season. Definitely are continuing to try to push and do more, but they do actually rank 5th in the WNBA with a record of 11 wins, and 7 losses, and a 5th spot in the WNBA. Now, on top of that, they rank 3rd in the Western Conference, however, and also looking more in depth, we do see that they are 6-3 from home, 5-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So looking at Seattle Storm and where they do rank, we do see that Seattle Storm do rank 5th when it comes to points allowed. They also rank 6th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed. We also see that Seattle Storm rank 10th. So we definitely seen them rank pretty mid-tier in all 3 categories, and for that reason, we do very much like the over for this situation here. Now, Natasha Cloud is a great player for, New York Liberty, as we all know. But on top of that, what we also have seen is that when it comes to Natasha Cloud, she is a guard, and we have seen Seattle Storm do a very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to Natasha Cloud's position. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the over for this situation here. When it comes to someone like Natasha Cloud, we have definitely also seen her play very, very well. We have seen her not only just do a fantastic job in all three categories, but we've definitely have seen an increase, and her consistency has been very, very good. So that's another big reason why we do very much like the over for this situation here. But looking at, her last 5 games and looking at where she's actually been, we do see on the 23rd, faced off against Seattle Storm. We saw them lose actually 89-79. In that matchup, she actually had 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. Then moving on from that, against Golden State Valkyries, we actually saw her have an 81-78 victory with, her team New York Liberty. But on top of that, had 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. Then against Phoenix on the 28th, had a 106-91 loss, had 14 points, 4 rebounds, and also 7 assists there. After that, faced off against Atlanta Dream on the 30th, actually had a 90-81 loss with 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists there. After that, against LA Sparks, on the 4th of this month, had 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. So we definitely have seen something pretty interesting here. We have actually seen Natasha Cloud more go on the over as of recent. We definitely have seen her be a little bit on the higher side when it comes to her usage rate, and a big reason for that is really the fact we just have seen Natasha Cloud and New York Liberty. New York Liberty has faced a couple of injuries, and because of that, Natasha Cloud has definitely been given a bigger role. But on top of anything else, what we also have seen is that when it actually comes to Natasha Cloud, we do also know that, she's just seen an increase in her usage rate just in general. And I do believe that Liberty has changed up their game plan just a little bit. They have focused a little bit more on, her getting her usage rate up there, and it just has translated very, very well. And you have seen that. If you look at the last 3 games, when you look at the matchup against Atlanta are a great, great defensive team. They even lost that game, but we actually saw Natasha Cloud do a very good job, especially against her line. So coming into this next matchup, we do very much like the over for this situation here. So keep an eye out for Natasha Cloud coming into this matchup for sure. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Aaliyah Nye. Now, as you all know, Aaliyah Nye, great player, as we all know, for none other than the Las Vegas Aces. Now, she's done a fantastic job so far this season, but we have actually seen her average 5.5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 0.5 assists, and also 0.3 steals. So, she's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, looking at the Las Vegas Aces, we do know that they have a great matchup against Connecticut Sun. Now, it is going to be an exciting matchup for sure, but looking at this matchup more in depth, we do know, looking at both of these teams ranking wise, we see that the Aces do rank 8th in the WNBA with a record of 8 wins and 9 losses, a 47.1% win percentage. So they've been on an absolute tear, in some of those games. Other games haven't really done too well, so it just has been a little bit more of a mid-tier type season for the Aces so far. Anything can still really happen. But looking at, their home games, we have seen them have a record of 5-4 from home, 3-5 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it's definitely been tough for them there. Now, on top of that, we also see that they face off against Connecticut Sun, and unfortunately, Connecticut Sun aren't doing any better, because we actually have seen that Connecticut Sun do rank 13th in the WNBA, worst record in the league, and on top of that, they also rank, the worst team in the Eastern Conference as well. But they do actually rank, very low, and on top of that, they have a record of 2 wins and 15 losses. So it's definitely been very, very tough for them. That's an 11.8% win percentage. To put that in perspective, they are 1-6 from home, 1-9 from away, and they've lost their last 9 games. So it's definitely been a huge struggle for them. Now, coming into this next matchup, obviously we are looking at Aces Aaliyah Nye, but looking at where Connecticut Sun do rank, we do see that they rank 13th when it comes to points allowed, 11th when it comes to assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, we do see that they rank 13th. So they rank very, very low in all three categories. And for that reason, this one is kind of a no-brainer to us. We do very much like the over for this situation here. Now, a big reason for this is due to the fact that Connecticut Sun have just been a very poor team, as we all know. Not only has Connecticut Sun been a very poor team, but on top of that, coming into this game, Aces and Connecticut Sun both are pretty fast-paced teams, so we are expecting a good amount of pace in this game. And as we all know, good amount of pace and also a high amount of pace means more volume. More volume means more opportunity. So that's why for someone like Aaliyah Nye, we do actually like the over for this situation here. Now, coming into this as well, what we also do see is that, looking at our last 5 games, we have seen Aaliyah Nye at times have really good games. Other games hasn't really done too well. Now, coming into this one, however, we are focused a little bit more on the points than any other category. And that's due to the fact that Aaliyah does have a bit of a better usage rate in that points category over everything else. So, for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for that. Now, looking at her last 5 games, you see on the 23rd, faced off against Indiana Fever, had an 89-81 victory with 11 points, 0 rebounds, and 0 assists there. And she actually also in that matchup had 27 minutes. Then on the 26th, faced off against Connecticut Sun, had an 85-59 victory, had 0 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup. So yes, she didn't score too much in that game, but we do believe, like we always mention, there will be games like that. Coming into this next one, we are still more likely to see her go on the over, especially a poor defensive team like Connecticut Sun. But looking at the next game after that, we see she faced off against the Washington Mystics, had 2 points there, 3 rebounds, and 0 assists. Then against Phoenix, had an 84-81 victory on the 30th, had 16 points, 1 rebound, and 0 assists there. After that, we also did see against Indiana, had an 81-54 loss with 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists in that matchup. So that was an interesting one there. Now, when we look at, that matchup or all matchups in general, we have seen Aaliyah do very well in some games. Other games hasn't do too well, but that's just kind of the nature of, not just the WNBA, but the game in general. It's definitely going to happen. We are going to see sometimes that, Aaliyah has had a great scoring game. Other games hasn't really done too well. Now, coming into this next one, although Connecticut in their matchup against Las Vegas Aces as of recent, we did see Aaliyah go on the under. We do believe in this next one, we should see more likelihood chance, which is the over for someone like Aaliyah Nye to go on the over in her points category. So for that reason, keep an eye out for the over for this situation here. We definitely do like the over, and on top of that, I would just focus a little bit more on points than any other category. So definitely keep an eye out for it. So keep an eye out for Aaliyah Nye. Like I mentioned, focus a little bit more on points than anything else. And as I always mentioned, when it comes to this line, if the line is under averages, and definitely look to go on the over, because I definitely see a lot of great value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Rachel Banham. Now, as you all know, Rachel, great player for none other than Chicago Sky. Now, we've seen her do a fantastic job all season as well, but she's been averaging 6.4 points, 0.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and 0.4 steals. So it's definitely been an interesting one there. We have definitely seen Rachel Banham do a great job, especially in the points department. Now, coming into this next game, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, because we do know that Rachel Banham and Chicago Sky face off against Minnesota Lynx in this game. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting one, because we do know that Minnesota Lynx are a very, very tough team. But looking more in depth, what we do see, and just more talking about it, we do see that Chicago Sky, when it comes to their ranking, do actually rank 11th in the WNBA. So they haven't really done the best job, I would say, unfortunately. No disrespect there, but they haven't really done the best job. And on top of that, they also have a record of 5 wins and 11 losses. So they have a 31.3% win percentage. They are also 2-4 from home, 3-7 from away, and they're currently on a 1-game win streak. So it's definitely been, very, very good, I guess, in that sense. But they are facing off against Minnesota Lynx. And looking at Minnesota Lynx, Lynx are a little bit on the other side of the table because Lynx actually have the number 1 spot in the WNBA with 15 wins and 2 losses. So they also rank number 1 in the Western Conference as well, number 1 in the rest of the league. But they have an 88.2% win percentage. They are 9-0 from home, 0 from 2 from away games, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So it's definitely been all uphill for Minnesota Lynx. They've been on an absolute tear. There really is nothing else to it besides they've been absolutely dominating the WNBA, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. But looking at Minnesota Lynx defensively, especially against Rachel Banham, we do see Minnesota Lynx ranking first in points allowed. Also ranks second in assists allowed. And when it comes to rebounds allowed, we see that they rank 7th. So Minnesota Lynx do rank a little bit lower in that rebounding. But when it comes to Rachel, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Rachel Banham. Now, as we all know, Prize Picks, when it comes to the picks that they do like to create, it's definitely off, I would say categories where they do have a little bit more of a higher usage rate. Now, coming into this game, we are expecting Rachel to have a line out for points and perhaps maybe assist as well. So I would definitely focus a little bit more on that. But coming into this game, we do very much like the under for either those categories or all 3, dependent on what Prize Picks does end up giving us. But I do believe overall, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists, we definitely are expecting Rachel to go on the under here. Minnesota Lynx have just done a fantastic job all season at restricting, all 3 categories. And yes, they are a little bit lower in rebounds, but the fact that, Rachel doesn't have the highest usage rate in the Chicago Sky team, we are expecting other players in Chicago Sky to take over that usage rate. And, since Lynx already do a great job at restricting it, we are expecting those star players in Chicago Sky to take the usage rate away from role players like Rachel Banham. So for that reason, we are definitely liking the under. Now, looking at Rachel over the last 5 games, see on the 22nd, faced off against Phoenix, had a 107-86 loss there. Now, we actually saw her have 3 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists. That was interesting to see there. After that, on the 23rd, face-off against Atlanta Dream, had a 93-80 loss with 10 points, 0 rebounds, and 4 assists in that matchup. After that, we saw them face off against LA Sparks, had a 97-86 victory with 8 points, 0 rebounds, and 4 assists in that matchup. After that, we also did see against LA Sparks have a 92-85 victory with on the 30th and had 13 points, 1 rebound, and 4 assists in that matchup. So we definitely have seen, some pretty interesting stat lines from Rachel Banham. Yes, sometimes she's going on the over, other times going on the under. Now, coming into this next one, we do very much like the under. And although some of those games she has gone on the over in the last 5, you do also have to remember she was facing off against much, much easier teams defensively. Like I always mention, it really does come down to a per position and per matchup sort of basis. And looking at the matchup that they do face off against, which is Minnesota Lynx, a very, very tough team, we are definitely expecting the under for this one. So keep an eye out for Rachel Banham coming into this game. We do very much like the under for this situation here. So, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Erica Wheeler. So, Erica Wheeler, great player for Seattle Storm. Now, we have actually seen her average 11.9 points, 3.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1 steal. Now, she's done a great job for Seattle, and we also do know that Seattle Storm do face off against New York Liberty. Now, just to retouch again and remind you all where they do rank, we do know that Seattle Storm do rank 5th in the WNBA and 3rd in the Western Conference, and on top of that, they have an 11-win, 7-loss record. Now, over the last 10 games, they do have a 7-3 record, so they have been doing pretty well there. And they face off against New York Liberty because New York Liberty do rank 2nd in the WNBA, but 1st in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a 12-win, 5-loss, record. They are also in the last 10 of 5-5, so it has been a little bit more mid-tier for New York Liberty as of recent. So I definitely think that's something you want to be wary about, but overall, Liberty have definitely still been playing very great. Now, looking at Liberty defensively, we do know New York do rank, when it comes to points allowed, they rank 6th. When it comes to assists allowed, they rank 8th, and then rebounds allowed, they rank 12th. So Liberty actually rank very, very poor in all 3 categories. Now, I would say, mid-tier, but still very poor to what we were expecting, especially for a team that does rank second. But coming into this next matchup, we do very much like the over for this situation here. Now, looking at New York Liberty, yes, they are a great team, and yes, they have been winning games. But defense, it hasn't really been, the greatest asset for this team. I do believe they like to play fast-paced. They like to play a lot of offense, and that's what's helped this team win. And coming into this situation, we do think Erica Wheeler will be able to take advantage of this and go on the over here. Now, like I mentioned before, when it comes to a per position basis, it's definitely important. And looking at New York Liberty, we actually do see that they do a very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to Erica Wheeler's position. So we definitely see that being a huge case there. Now, looking at her last 5 games, we see on the 23rd face off against New York Liberty, we did see her have an 89-79 victory with 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist in that matchup. Then faced off against Indiana on a 94-86 loss with 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Then on the 28th, faced off against Connecticut Sun, had a 97-81 victory with 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists there. After that, on the 30th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had an 84-57 loss with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then against Atlanta, had an 80-79 victory, had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup. So we definitely have seen Erica Wheeler go, very well when it comes to it. Now, looking at that matchup more specifically when they did face off against Liberty, yes, we did only see Erica have 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. But like I always mentioned, there will be games like that. But when we look at the more likelihood of chance of happening, we are expecting more likely for her to go on the over on her line coming into this next game. So although she may have not done in her most recent matchup against Liberty, we are expecting her to bounce back and be able to come back from it. So keep an eye out for Erica Wheeler's line. I see a lot of value there to go on the over, especially the line is under her averages.